Welcome, friends, back to the world of Atilateo and the Scholar Fortress Turelotad, Learnedhands. We have our work cut out for us here at Learnedhands. We have a project. We have a very important project. If we are going to produce written works at the pace that we really desire, we're going to need industrial paper production, and that's going to mean a workshop zone near to the library with access to flowing water. We need to power mills so that we can create slurry that can be pressed into paper. From there, we can create quires that will be bound into books, and we can create scrolls. And we need a large farm plot. We're going to grow a lot of pigtails here. This is the work of Turelotad, and the time is at hand. It's time to tap into the river Mouthharshness and guide its flowing waters towards our glory. But before we do, let's take a quick look at how the fortress is doing. We'll begin in the library. We have our first original written works, and the very first book produced is one after my own heart. It is entitled Journey to the Stars. It is a guide to reading star charts, and it's been a popular read here at Learnedhands. Our other new original work is To Adventure and Glory. It is a manual authored by one of our citizens, Aiden Kekimnish, and it concerns the method of writing a biography of oneself, particularly as it concerns a military campaign or adventure. Fun! The library itself is shaping up. We have many tables and bookshelves in place, as well as some floors. We still have a bit of an eyesore here with our block storage. We really wanted to keep these materials on site so that these dwarves didn't have too far to travel when it came to decorating and setting up this library. They'll be cleared out soon, no worries. We like to think that each of these rooms will have its own special purpose. The astronomers so far have held up their end of the deal. They have this jet black room, which apparently was inspiring as they produced Journey to the Stars. Very, very nice to see. We have many farmers here and animal caretakers, and I wonder if they'll take the green room up to the north here. We'll have to make some of them into scholars and see what they do. Other than our scholarly pursuits and the ongoing beautification of the library, we've mostly been working on our systems, just gradually improving our food and drink production and making sure that we have all the resources we need to effortlessly grow here at Learnedhands. However, in the course of our day-to-day activities, tragedy has struck. I am very, very sorry to say that Zon Avustazash, yes, the very same sheep we sheared to save our chief medical dwarf and her 1-year-old child from a strange mood. We sheared Zon Avustazash and created wool cloth, which was the missing ingredient we needed. Zon was just found dead in our tavern. Starved to death. This is no end for a hero of Turelotad. This is shameful. I honestly expect better from a group of scholar dwarves. We need to be on top of these things. These are our creatures. These are our living things here. And one of particular honor, no less. Starved to death from some kind of neglect. I am speechless. Needless to say, Zon will be memorialized in any way we possibly can. Yes, Zon Avustazash will have a place of honor, much deserved. And perhaps some kind of hard labor is due for Zon's caretaker. We do not want to see something like this happen again. And while we're on the subject of unsettling news, we've had a whole string of forgotten beasts appear. Mostly no concern of ours, given that we've completely walled off every possible entrance to the cavern. But here we have Pastro Riragthreb Dolra, And we found Postro in the caverns fighting a blind cave ogre. Let's see what happens here. Postro smear beetles the glum. Yep, that is about what we expected right there. A blind cave ogre corpse. We're gonna keep an eye on Postro. For now, he's just a curiosity. Although that being said, Postro is in fact seriously injured, so that blind cave ogre held his own. Its upper body is cut open, its body is bruised. Left rear leg is bruised. Yeah, Postro's having some problems. Good luck down there, buddy. Well, it is time now, friends. It is time again to dig. Let's take a quick look at our initial plans for tapping into the river Mouthharshness. Here we have a stairwell that goes down, 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 down until just above the library level, and it's connected over to another access tunnel we've dug previously. This is the first step. We need this to be the initial flow of the river. So we'll go ahead and dig out this tunnel, and then we will take a look at the blueprints for the next stage of this project. Now with the first tunnel complete, and blocked off from the other access tunnel just in case the water gets out of hand, we are going to channel down at the middle of this long stretch. So here we will carve a wide channel, and down on the next floor, we will allow the water to begin its winding path down towards the western side of our library. Seen down into the left is an area that we had to dig out in order to prevent the aquifer from dripping down from the ceiling onto the top floor of our library. So we had to access this area and smooth the floors. It was quite a project, but that dripping ceiling had to stop. We actually have an idea to use that space down there. We're gonna use it as a little battery pond for a mist generator. If we're gonna go through all the trouble of rerouting this water to power our water wheels, why not have a nice mist generation system flowing down through the library? So we've actually devised a series of statues with open space around them, with grates in the floor, and we are going to have the water cascade down onto the statue, making a nice little fountain, and we will then trickle the water all the way down through all 3 floors of our library onto a statue and another statue, eventually down through the floor and out. It will meet back up with our river. It's going to be a fun project. But here we go. We are now turning the main stem of this water south. So we've blueprinted out a couple of taps for that system, but now we are working again on the main purpose here. We're going to continue to channel down until we reach the level that we are looking for our pigtail farm and our industrial paper production facility. So we come down one more layer and channel again, and we are nearly to the ground floor. And here we are, down by the ground floor. This is where our paper zone is going to exist. It's going to be off to the west of the ground floor of the library, and we will create some access to that. But this stretch of the river is now where our water wheels will be. Seen here on the ground floor are also some blueprints for the mist generation system. And over here is the area we envision housing all of our industrial paper production. It's going to be a really nice open space to work in. We're going to produce a lot of pigtails in this space and a lot of paper. And from here, we will channel down one final layer underneath the library, where we will route the water out of the area. We're going to take one more look at our system here. It begins with a stairwell by the edge of the map next to the river Mouthharshness. We are going to dive down until we are just above the top floor of the library. Over here, we channel down. And the water cascades off to the left. We're not quite ready to hook up the mist generator yet, so we're leaving those spaces there. It turns, we channel down again past the workshop zone on the ground floor of the library. We will go down one more level beneath the library, where we have ductwork that drains the mist generator back into this main stream from both of its waterfall locations. And then we finally turn and we go out of the area all together. One more channel down, just for good measure, I guess, and there we go. Carve some fortifications in that last stone and we are good to go. Okay, it's time to dig. Our plan is good, and here we go. Our miners are off. We've got some still relatively inexperienced miners on the crew here, but they are doing great. They are picking up very nicely. Recall that many of our legendary miners were part of our original 7, who are all now full-time scholars. But this new crew is handling things well, though they all seem to have disappeared. All except for one. We have Aloth Zulonsursel. She's actually a militia captain, mostly because she just seemed to really need martial training and didn't exactly have much else to do at the time. So a militia captain she is, of the Oily Buds. The Buds are kind of recreational training squad. They train 1 month out of the year, and that's just to give some of our martially challenged dwarves a good time. So if you need to just get some of the aggression out, join the Oily Buds, training once a year. Oh, the Cavi Boar! Okay, we have a Cavi Boar that is the pet of Zuntir S. Zuntir, one of our newer miners. And this little Cavi just follows him around everywhere he goes. It is fantastic. Let's hear about Atir Thosbutnib, the Cavi Boar. Atir Drillrag. He has an amazing spatial sense, good intuition, and a good kinesthetic sense, but he has a meager ability with social relationships. Oh, a lousy intellect, it's fair, and next to no natural musical ability. Actually, if you've ever heard a guinea pig vocalize, you might think that they do have quite a natural musical ability, but not this one. He's quite polite, not particularly interested in what others think of him. That's a nice little cavi. It's a little bit slow going as we are digging through sections of aquifer as we do this, so it just makes it a little slower to get through it, but we're getting there. As we were digging out that tunnel, we couldn't help but notice over here we've got Zuglar Stakadosteb, who seems to be stuck in this room, though he should be perfectly capable of getting through that door. Maybe he came down some stairs. There's a set of stairs there, I think. And maybe he just can't get up, but he is very thirsty, just seemingly stuck in this room. So we're going to try and maybe dig him one more staircase here and see if that helps. Just get somebody here, get this poor guy out of here. Zuglar Stakud Osteb, the Mason. Oh. Okay. Well, maybe he's just hanging out in this wet room, just being thirsty. Because he apparently is not stuck. Oh, there he goes, back up the stairs. Okay. Well, glad you're okay, Zuglar. Go talk to someone, buddy. Skipping ahead a little bit, we are now rounding the first corner and beginning to channel down to the next layer. We do have some aquifer here, so it just doesn't get too out of hand, too uncomfortable for our miners, we're going to just go ahead and smooth these walls and make sure that we can kind of at least stem the flow a little bit. So here we are, we're channeling down, and very soon we're going to reach the workshop level, just one more level down. We have this nice little cascading waterfall happening here. I think it's going to be kind of nice to just hear this thing roaring inside the walls. It's going to be pretty sweet. And here we go, through the workshop zone, right past the library. Now, we might open some of this up and have bridges across the water. That would look kind of cool. And you could see, perhaps we can have windows, or like, ooh, a wall of glass. What if we had a whole wall of clear glass blocks and you could see, oh my gosh, you're standing in the library and you see through the clear glass over the water and into the industrial paper making zone. That's going to be really, really interesting. Yeah, let's make a bunch of clear glass blocks. We actually have been producing potash and pearl ash, and we have some clear glass bookcases already. Those look real nice in the Jet Astronomer's room. Moving on, we are now making headway into the drainage tunnels underneath the mist generator statue areas, and we are just digging through, continuing to dig. Things are going well. The aquifer is really slowing us down, but we're going to get there. And we are very nearly to the end of this first stage of our engineering project. We've channeled down one more time, just in case we need a little extra motion. And we'll carve some fortifications into this stone wall we've found and can't seem to penetrate through. We'll just carve some holes through it and we'll let that water flow right on out of here. While we've been at work, the caravan from Stistmigsavan has arrived. We have a lot of prepared food. Our chef has gotten quite skilled here in Learnedhands. And his learned hands indeed have created many, many stacks of very valuable prepared meals. We are trading those with the caravan, in addition to some little trinkets we've made. We have some interesting gold bracelets and giant mole bone bracelets. We also have a few other crafts of interest, a very nice crown, and some very richly adorned turkey leather earrings. The turkey leather earrings seem to be fetching a fine price. And as always, we request a variety of interesting parchment sheets. So hopefully we'll get some good paper next year. We'll take as much as we can possibly get. All in all, it was a nice trade. It's always good to see the caravan. But now we turn our attention to much more important things. We are about to tap into the river Mouthharshness and begin the flow of water through our fortress. Oh, and Doran Orsharisen, Spear Dwarf, has grown attached to a steel spear. We've been having a lot of that lately. Our militia really has become quite proficient. The gladness of bridges. We'll have to see who has the honor of starting Turelotad's first real engineering project. Who do we have? Is this Zentir? Believe it's Zentir S. Zentir, yes. Zentir S. Zentir is going to tap the river Mouthharshness. Here we go. Here we go. All right, we're taking things slowly, but we'll bring him back to get this final square. We didn't really know what was gonna. You don't want these things to get out of hand. All right, Zentir. All right, you got one more, buddy. Okay, well let's see what's going on. Let's follow this water down. Down. Oh, yes. Yes, we are filling quite quickly here. That is a strong flow, not such a quiet stream after all. Pushing all these boulders out of the way. Up, now we've got our full flow here. So we're really moving. And now there is nothing to do but wait and watch as we bend the mighty river to our will for the glory of Turelotad. The river has finally made it to the end of its journey, in our fortress at least. We have successfully tapped the river Mouthharshness, and we are ready to begin the development of our industrial zone. So now, moving ahead, we are getting ready to move into this area and dig things out. And one thing we've been slightly concerned about is running into more caverns, we were originally going to run this water down the east side of the library's ground floor, but those caverns over there were just too close. Now, it's yet to be seen if any similar conditions exist over on this side, but we're going to hope that we're in the clear. Here we go. We are moving up and into the area. Zuntir, who tapped the first waters, he's about to see the full benefit of his work very soon. And there we have a change of our plans. We have cracked into more caverns over here. They do indeed exist, and there's a huge cavern network over here, right next to us. Okay. That's okay. Hopefully most of that area up at the top is still in the clear. We are going to dig out what we can. It is too late to change our plans. The water is where it is. So here we have an alternative entrance into the area from the north end of the library. And we're excavating this out, and of course we run into aquifer, which we should not be surprised, but that is something we'll have to deal with. Should not be a problem. We will just smooth the walls and the floors and we'll be just fine. So we've decided just to dig a tunnel just to get to the water and then decide how we want to lay things out from there. But we are just very eager to get our first water wheel installed. So what we're going to do is we're going to dig out everything we can over here. We'll start maybe smaller than we may end up in the end, but we'll give ourselves a good area here. Nothing too massive. And what we are going to be careful to do here, though, is we don't want to dig open any more access to the caverns. We're going to want to be very careful that these caverns do not have a route inside here. So we'll require the construction of some walls, and we'll construct some floors too, as needed. We can floor over parts of these open spaces to get us the room we desire. We can't help but notice, however, that water still seems to actually be accumulating where we have already smoothed over near the entrance. That water has not been drying up. Yep, and it seems to be getting deeper. So here's what's happening. And we know because we had to deal with this higher up on the top floor of the library. We had to actually excavate out the floor above and smooth the floor of that level. And that's what we're going to have to do here. We're going to have to make our way up above this area and excavate out the same footprint above and smooth the floor because it is dripping down from the ceiling. We have covered the walls and the floor. There's no water coming from there, but it is in fact dripping down from the ceiling, which is not sustainable in a paper factory. We came to a realization, though, that we can use this dripping ceiling to our advantage. One of the main features of this space is going to be a large pigtail field, so we're going to let it rain in here for a while, and we'll be able to cultivate however much space we want. That's well worth the price of having to dig out the floor above and smooth it down. Mafon von Zabak is missing. In the midst of all of this work, all of this planning and engineering, someone has taken advantage of the situation and stolen Mafal von Zabak. You'll recall that Mafal von Zabak is a microcline mug created by Mafal von Zabak. This microcline mug has been stolen. That is not okay, and we will be getting to the bottom of it. Saddened as we are by the hopefully temporary loss of Mafal von Zabak, the mug, we are about to bring our first water wheel into operation. Our talented carpenter Asmel Kuletakil is on the scene, installing the water wheel herself. Thank you, Asmel. We'll have to find out why you're so unhappy over there. See if we can help you out. Yes, We have a turning water wheel. That is a beautiful thing to see. That is full of promise and hope for the future. And yes, here we have operational millstones. And this room is quite flooded now, and that is enough of that. So we are now going to excavate out the area directly above, smooth the floor, and we'll be good to go. Okay, so we begin to dig out the floor above, and we will smooth that floor, and hopefully that will stop this water. Yeah, we really need to get floors down in the rest of the library. It's starting to get a little shroomy in there. And it did indeed work. We are rapidly drying out on this floor, and that is a successful project. So now we can move on with building our farm plots. We could eventually cultivate a lot of area down here, but we're going to start large for sure, but not as large as we could go. We're just going to take up this area here along the wall. This will be our pigtail plots, right next to the millstones and the screw presses. And we set up some stockpiles, of course, nearby to handle all of these materials we're going to be making. We want to waste no time at all processing the already very large amount of pigtails we have here from the cavern farm. We want to get our hands on as much paper as possible as soon as possible. We seem to be dragging our feet on getting these plots constructed, and I think that our existing farmers are actually quite busy, so we've made some new farmers here. We found some peasants and found some people who are farming adjacent, and we're going to train them up here. We really do eventually want master farmers, master pressers, and millers. While we're waiting for those farmers to get it together, let's take a look at some of our written materials here that have happened all this while. Negativity Exposed. This is a copy of something that came into our fortress, but it seems to be a decent quality copy at that. We're proud of it. It's a finely crafted Nautilus parchment scroll. The rollers are made from microcline and orthoclase. Written on the item is a manual entitled Negativity Exposed, authored by Tosid Domasor. It concerns notation for negative quantities. Awesome. The writing is fairly cheerful. That's impressive in a book about math. Overall, the prose is not awful, but not very good either. That's okay. The prose doesn't have to be anything special in Negativity Exposed. And we have Explorations of the Mountain Halls on one of our many pigtail choirs that are being produced. Written on the item is a guide entitled Exploration of the Mountain Halls, authored by Amitha Anatheli. It concerns the fortress blot roads. The writing is very compassionate, yet it is a bit stiff. We'll have to look into that and see where the fortress blot roads is and what they're all about. Fascinating. It is so good to see many of our citizens of all stripes enjoying time in the library reading these books. We are already making the world a better place. And just outside the library, we can take a look at what's going on in our tavern. We do have one guest of note, Sarvesh Neckelmoral, the Dwarf Beast Hunter Returned Corpse. Not sure if we'll be granting you long-term stay, and we are still bothered by the theft of Maphals on Vabok, and we are going to try and get to the bottom of that now. So for the very first time, we are nominating a captain of the guard. We have chosen Oblel Norum Logum, an animal caretaker. We figured she at least has some responsibilities there, caring for others, so we would like a caring captain of the guard, but one who still knows how to get down to business. I think an animal caretaker fits the bill. We're going to let Oblel get to work. And while we do, let's take a look at our mist generator. Construction is underway, and our very first statue is that of a cat and a pick. And the cat is embracing the pick. This statue is indeed in honor of our poor lost cat from our very first dig through the aquifer. That cat gave its life for this fortress, and we will honor it accordingly. Then we have an unfortunate occurrence. We noticed some fighting going on, and the captain of the guard, the newly appointed captain of the guard, has beaten one of our miners. This is one of our legendary miners, who is now quite severely injured. And why was this beating administered? The violation of a production order. This is very upsetting. one of our legendary miners who happened to be given a workshop just to fulfill, she expressed a need to craft some objects from time to time. We felt it was reasonable. You've been doing all this legendary mining for us, so here, have your very own workshop. You do your thing. Well, somehow that workshop got caught up in the need to fulfill a production order from our Duchess, Rovad Onoludos, our bookmaster. Did I mention that we are now a duchy? In 2 years, we went from barony to county to duchy. We are quite pleased with this. However, Bookmaster has developed a strange obsession with low boots and coffins. And somehow poor Mathal Tomewaned ended up now getting a severe beating for violating the production order. This is atrocious policing. It is inexcusable. Oblel, you are going to be promptly fired from the position of Captain of the Guard, and I thoroughly regret nominating you in the first place. And even worse, there seems to be a second production order violation. Now, we really thought that we were on top of those production orders, in fact. We've been making low boots and coffins constantly. But looks like Sibrek Urasnakas, a metalsmith, is now caught up in this as well. And there's a pile of blood and vomit on the floor of the tavern, and Sibrek has been beaten as well. My goodness. Unacceptable, Oblel. Unacceptable. And Bookmaster, you need to chill out. So our legendary miner can't walk anymore. It's a good thing we do have a very nice hospital now, though. So Sibrek and Moffel, we're going to take good care of you guys. We're going to get you back in action. This is a very well-stocked hospital. You are going to make it. Now, one bright spot amidst all that nonsense is that the mist generators are about to become operational. Here we are excavating out a little access tunnel that will allow us to channel through here. The water will come down and fill this little battery pond. There is an open spot in the floor in that larger space. It just happens to be right above our cat statue. And very soon we will be channeling down from above and releasing that water, and we will see our mist generation system in action. Ah, that is a misty sight to behold. That is a beautiful thing, cascading down to the second floor, onto the next statue, and down to the ground floor, onto the final pillar, holding everything up. Is anybody content being next to a waterfall? No, but we are discussing the screw. That is fantastic. Continue. Go about your business. Discuss the screw. Write us a book about that. Ah, nothing like a fine mist when you're discussing things of great importance. The giantess Onale Elabeyi Latasiba has come, a gigantic creature resembling a human, almost unparalleled in size. Onale quested esteem, the certain goal. She has an iron will, a great feel for the surrounding space, and a very good feel for social relationships. But she has meager creativity, bad intuition, an iffy sense for music, and a poor memory. Not so sure I like that you have a good feel for the surrounding space, but now is the time to put our defenses to the test. We will enter siege mode and see if we cannot lure this giantess into our trap hall. And as we were just about to throw the lever to raise the drawbridges and enter siege mode, we realize that we have botched the execution of our plan. We are going to be having a word with the engineers. But simply put, our downward staircases are placed incorrectly, and this is useless. Furthermore, we have a whole menagerie that we are neglecting up here on the surface, and we can't have this giantess slaughtering all of these animals for kicks while we're waiting for her to enter our trap hall anyway. So there is only one way to deal with this. We are going to face it head on. The Gladness of Bridges have been training for several years, and they are fully equipped and ready to go. Let's send in the Gladness to face this giant. And with that, the giantess is easily defeated by only 2 members of the Gladness of Bridges, primarily Sarvesh Tomesmute, Sarvesh Melbilrul, the Hammer Lord, just hammering on that giantess. Not a problem. With the aid of his superior quality steel warhammer and his agility, Sarvesh got out of this fight without even a scratch. Very, very impressive. He had an assist from the spear dwarf Doran Osherrisen, particularly when Doran stabbed the giantess in the head with an exceptional steel spear. That'll do it. Good work, team. You have done Turelotad proud. Go get yourself a pint of ale and one of those masterpiece meals down in the tavern. And now we return to the library, where the tales of glorious battle are already being written. We have both sides of our mist generator fully operational now, enveloping our beautiful library space in mist. We are slowly getting our floors down, bookshelves in place, and gradually making improvements as we go. And here we see our pigtail farm in full production. We are generating a lot of pigtails and massive quantities of slurry and paper. We have included here a gem workshop as well as several craftsdwarf shops. Those shops are of course for creating scroll rollers and quires and binding books. That jeweler's shop is for encrusting those scroll rollers with gems, increasing their value greatly. And so here we find ourselves reading and writing and growing here at Learned Hands. The library will continue to grow. We will write hundreds of books here and export them to the world, enlightening all of Atilateo. We look forward to our glass wall overlooking the production area. You could see the river through there from the main library floor. That will be a beautiful sight. And we look forward to telling the tales of these dwarves as they fulfill their glorious purpose. Read all about it next time here at Turelotad, Learned Hands.